right now, ready to just close my eyes and lay back down on the bed, get under the covers, get warm again. Feel all the body weight just drop away. Wouldn't that be nice? So yesterday was cool. Yesterday we got to celebrate Nico Gonzalez. Nico's the man. Like straight up, Nico's the man. If you get shot and you get taken to the hospital, a guy like Nico will help you out. If you get COVID and are taken to the hospital, a nurse like Nico will help you out. And it doesn't matter what the situation is. It doesn't matter how frightening it is. It doesn't matter how anxiety provoking it is for him. He's going to help you out. And in my world, that's often called what it means to be a warrior, right? He's a warrior. And it's a special quality, and I'm so glad that we got to celebrate him. And it got me thinking about just this whole thing with COVID and bearing witness to COVID. And the notion of bearing witness includes the notion of remembering. So we make sure we see, and we make sure that we pay attention so that we can remember. And it's important to remember, because if we don't remember, we can just keep doing the same things over again. And, you would think that when we see things that are, big and powerful and have a huge impact on things, it would be pretty obvious. It wouldn't be a conscious thing. It wouldn't be something that we had to kind of work at or talk about. But I wonder if that's really the case. So I'm walking in the rain this morning with the dog, and the dog did not want to get up. He did not want to leave the house. And when I stepped out of the house, I knew why. He knows when it's raining and nasty out. So I step out of the house, it's raining, it's nasty, it's super cold, there's ice everywhere. So it's icy, cold, and wet. There really isn't a more awful combination to be out in. And so we're walking around the neighborhood like we always do. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm so grateful that the house is, just a few minutes back. And I started thinking about Civil War soldiers. I started thinking about how this area probably had Civil War soldiers marching through it. No battles, not in this part, but there were probably soldiers on the march through this area, probably multiple times, going here, going there. And I kept thinking to myself, how awful would that be? Marching in a straight line, in columns, through weather like this. And I'm out in the nastiness for 30 minutes, all night. Imagine walking all night through something like this, getting to a location where you got to build your own camp, and then just staying wet, cold, and nasty for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And so I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about how much the Civil War captured the people's attention, and how, the context of the Civil War and how it went down all really fit kind of our kind of societal understandings of things, our societal identities, our roles. And I think one of the things that reflect that is how much we as a country bared witness to the challenges of the Civil War and that the Civil War soldier faced. And I think about that in the context of, honoring the dead, memorializing the dead, the names of the fallen in the newspaper. The conversation was all around that, and how that really fit in to kind of our identity story, and like the grand narrative of our identity story. I mean, the grand thing, men marching off to war, and everyone else kind of honoring them, supporting them. And so then I contrast that understanding with the suffering of the people who've been, hit with the pandemic, and how there's all these different tiers. Some people get it and it's nothing. Other people get it and it kills them. And there's all these tiers to it. And then there's the fact that, it's not really a part of our, grand narrative, our identity. It happened another pandemic like this happened 100 years ago. It's not really something that's on our minds, and it doesn't really fit in. It's more of an inconvenience than it is like something that we really bear witness to. And so it got me thinking that part of the reason why it feels like this COVID experience is like happening and also not happening at the same time, we're just kind of waiting for it to be over, is that it doesn't really fall into that space kind of the way like war does. There's not really an enemy to fight. And there is, but there's not really. There's not victory. Like the enemy doesn't care. Like COVID doesn't care if it wins or if it doesn't win. COVID just replicates. That's really all COVID does. It doesn't care. So it's not like when we beat COVID, COVID's going to be like, oh, fuck, I surrender. COVID's just going to go back into nature, and another version of some variation of something like it will show up at some other time. So, who cares? So in my mind, I think that impacts how we bear witness to this struggle that we're in. And I think it behooves us to recognize that and to look anyway, and to bear witness to the kind of struggle, but also the triumph and the courage and the grit and the tenacity of people like Nico, who, he's just like me, right? I'm just like him. He's finding purpose and helping others. And, that was the thing he left us. He said, find purpose, find something that gives your life meaning. And for him, it's helping other people. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. And so part of the purpose that we can have, because he also said, just stay healthy. Part of the purpose we can have is to bear witness. To bear witness to this year and a half so far, or I guess almost a total year of what we've been through, and to remember, and to work at remembering. And I'll tie this into mindfulness and the 4 bells. If my hypothesis is correct, that when we're interacting with things kind of out of our context of understanding, we're more likely to just look away. The value of the 4 bells and the value of the practice is to familiarize you, the practitioner, and me, with each area of attention. So the first area is your senses, the world around you, how you're taking it in. So familiarizing yourself with paying attention there and to that in the present moment. So as you practice every day, it becomes part of you. It becomes just part of your understanding of the world. This is an area I can pay attention to. It's not so automatic. Or it's not just automatic. The next piece is your body. Paying attention to your body. How often do we only pay attention to our body when it's not happy? Or we only pay attention to it in the context of how it looks? What does it mean to pay attention to the way your body feels, and to kind of bear witness to your body, and to give your body a space to communicate and know that you'll listen, and for you to listen? And the third space, bell 3, is the breath. So the space of the breath, the space of the constant interconnectivity engagement, adaptation, flow, rhythm, patterns, the constant change of the breath, and how that offers us a new way to explore the internal world and how we interact with the outer world. And that the breath becomes something that we really have a relationship to. So we understand it now in a much more meaningful way. And then the fourth bell is open-heartedness, which is an area that, I don't know, before I started practicing, I just didn't really give much thought to. It wasn't a part of my day. It was something that happened. I would become open-hearted at times, but it wasn't part of my day. It wasn't part of my understanding of things. So it wasn't really something that I had a relationship with. And so I just wanted to put that out there, as much to explore for myself as much as to encourage you to explore that. Part of why we pay attention to what we pay attention to is because we understand it in the context of our own lives. And conversely, if we don't understand it or see something in relation to our own lives, it's easier to look away. And looking away does not support the healing. It doesn't bring us together. It doesn't support us. It just kind of, in a real fleeting kind of way, gives us a moment of protection, just a little bit of armor that doesn't hold up very well. So that's that for today. Let's practice. Let's go ahead and get yourself set. I'm going straight to eyes closed. Feel the desire to go back to bed. Noticing the heavy feeling on my eyes, the sensation of my eyes, light and shadow behind my eyes. Here comes the first yawn. Heat in my mouth. Saliva. Temperature variations. Right knee cold at the tip. No smell. Sound of the heater. I'm reaching out looking for sounds outside. I don't have any. There's a drip. Front 1 o'clock. There's a refrigerator. It's a low hum. I would have missed it if I hadn't looked a little deeper. The silence of the garage. Just the stillness of the house. It's very noticeable. Feeling my feet, my ground, what's beneath me. Feeling the way my legs are situated. pelvis region, so noticing the rear end. Noticing my center of gravity, where the body weight is situated on the pelvis. Moving a little bit, kind of playing around with that. Moving up to the core. With the play of the pelvis, kind of the leaning back, leaning forward, the core kind of goes taut and loose. So finding a middle there, column. Sometimes I throw a little wiggle in. Got a little wiggle going. It feels kind of nice. It's like my whole spine's kind of wiggling, and I kind of notice my core, and I notice the fabric of my clothing, my undershirt, my skin. Come up to heart space. And pull my shoulder blades back and together a little bit. Move my shoulder blades around. Noticing collarbones. Noticing elbows. Moving up, throat, jaw. Feeling breath moving down throat. Top of the head, top of the spine. Throw a little wiggle back in there. I've used this style, this kind of wiggle style, to do all kinds of things. Release tension, fall asleep. Sometimes it's just a way to kind of move, get energy moving. I was on a meditation last Saturday, and there was just a lot of energy, it felt like, in my body. So I just kind of moved my spine. Kind of literally just a wiggle. Turn that into my face. I'm going to move the wiggle from my spine into my face. Mud face, like putty face. Just everything is like as soft as it could possibly be. Like just softening the face, softening the cheeks, the jaw, like. And then from there, try smiling just at the cheeks. So try pulling the cheek muscles into a smile, just the cheeks. It's very faint. And let that go. Now try making a smile just at the eyes. Also very faint. Now make a smile at the mouth, just super faint. Now put all three together, not big, but put all three together so that you feel your smile at your mouth, your cheeks, and your eyes. See if you can feel all 6 areas. So I feel it on the sides. So 3 areas up the left side, 3 areas up the right side. See if you can feel pull on each of those spaces. Kind of spreads across the face. Hack that vagus nerve. Hang it up. Notice your breath. Where is it? Feel it in your body. Notice location. Bearing witness to your breath every day. So yesterday, I noticed yesterday was it feels like it's in a totally different location today. It feels like it's to the left of the center line. It's so interesting because I'm typically looking at my breath as a tool, right? I'm looking at it as a tool to make myself feel one way or another. But to bear witness to your breath is to notice your breath as it is. Notice it. To remember. Yeah, I've actually never looked at my own breath this way. This is really interesting. I shut up so I can actually feel it. Feels all left sides. It feels like the right side's not breathing at all. It feels like the left side of my body's breathing. It's below my diaphragm. It's medium in size. It's not very deep. Its direction is literally out and in. It's so obvious. I've never noticed this before. I've never noticed it in the proper contextualization. It's always been, this breath tool does this breath does that. It's never been just to study the breath. It's a freaking miracle, our breathing, right? It happens without us trying. It changes whenever we need it to. It's so interesting. I don't feel it on the right side at all. I'm gonna max it out a couple times. Fascinating. Lopsided, left side. So interesting. Let's all focus our gratitude in the same place. Nurses like Nico. I'll never think of a nurse and not think of Nico and my mom again. Nurses like Nico. Thank you, life, that nurses like Nico exist. I mean, the first freaking day he had to kind of do his own thing was with a gunshot wound. Guy got shot after he had shot 2 people. And Nico had to go in there and make sure that this person didn't die. and show him dignity. Man, that is a special thing, and we owe people like Nico, and we know the system. We owe the system that trains a person like Nico. We owe our country that has systems in it that create and house and nurture and grow and support people like Nico. So when you think about gratitude, think about not just Nico, but that Nico is the tip of a community that has to do all kinds of things to make it happen. And it's part of a lineage. It's been going on for a long time. So there's lots of ways to kind of direct your gratitude towards Nico and his work. So where do you want to put your gratitude? And then as you're kind of thinking gratitude, that's kind of Nico on one side, think of the suffering that he's working against on the other. The suffering of COVID. So when people are in Nico's care, they're in a bad shape. And there are thousands of people like that. So I encourage you to open your mind to all the things that you kind of looked at over the past year, all the stuff with COVID, and kind of take it in and put it in the forefront of your mind. Bear witness to it. And kind of, one way I can envision is I can see Nico on one side and I see COVID on the other, and I see Nico pushing against the COVID, and I think of like each moment that he's pushing against that, doing his job. He's using energy, so I can imagine my energy going to him. I can imagine my energy going to the people that are in the hospital, the ones that are suffering. I can imagine my energy going to them. And so I just imagine my heart kind of pumping out goodwill, going to Nico, going through Nico, going into the suffering people that are dealing with COVID, and also just dealing with the looking away that so many are doing. It's just out of our context, and it's not particularly anyone's fault. It just is. So we got to work at it. We got to put some time and effort and energy into bearing witness to the suffering and bearing witness to the people that are helping. We got to remember them, work for them, honor them with our health, and honor them with our energy. So thank you for sharing this with me. Let's finish up with 2 more breaths. Second exhale, we're done. All right. Feel a little bit more awake. Thank you for sharing the practice with me this week. I hope you have a great Friday and a nice weekend. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you on Monday. Later, Armor Down.